Gospel reading today is taken from Luke's Gospel, chapter 11, beginning at verse 5. And Jesus said to them, "Suppose one of you has a friend, and you go at midnight and say to him, 'Friend, lend me 3 loaves of bread, for a friend of mine has arrived, and I have nothing to serve them.' And your friend answers from within, 'Do not bother me, the door has already been locked, and I and my children have already gone to bed. I cannot get up and give you anything.' I tell you, even though your friend will not get up and give you anything because of being a friend, at least because of your persistence, the friend will get up and give whatever is needed. So I say to you, ask, and it will be given to you. Search, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened for you. For anyone who asks receives, and everyone who searches finds. And for everyone who knocks, the door will be opened." Some of you may remember the ad campaign that Holiday Inn did a few years ago. There's some accident by the side of the road, and some man comes charging in, acting like he knows what he's talking about. And the injured guy, kind of wakes up and goes, "Are you a doctor?" He goes, "No, but I stayed at the Holiday Inn last night." And the message was, because I stayed at the Holiday Inn, I feel smarter, so I should be able to handle this. And they had many different of these. It was quite clever, and it was fun. The reason I bring it up is because there is a lot of spiritual teaching that proclaims things that I think momentarily provides hope and then later provides disappointment. This idea that, all things are possible. And Jesus said that because at some point the disciples and the apostles are going like, "This sounds really hard. How is anybody going to get into the kingdom of heaven?" And he goes, "For mere mortals it is not possible, but with God all things are possible." And so we end up with a spirituality that sometimes has phrases that provide immediate comfort. And then when people are parted and you're alone and you go like, "But where is the thing that I need?" And so you'll hear as I teach that I want to be very practical about this stuff, because I don't want to say things which make you feel good today, and then maybe sort of there's a residual, lingering good feeling tomorrow, but then the thing that you want or prayed for is not materialized, and by Tuesday you're disillusioned. Or you could say that this week I feel good, next week I feel okay, the third week I go, "This isn't really true." So I bring up the ad campaign because that is not the way. You cannot just go, "Well, God, God, all things are possible, so I'm going to trudge into my life and expect all the doors are going to open for me because, well, you said all you have to do is ask and the doors will be open." We have to apply more consciousness to passages like this. Because you could sit and hear it sitting in the church or whatever, and they go, "Well, ask for anything and it will be given to you." That was only part 1 of a 3-part teaching. What was part 2? Seek and ye shall find. And I believe that people forget that piece. And it doesn't say seek for 10 minutes on Google and you will find. It says seek and ye shall find. How long is the seeking? I don't know. It could be a day, it could be a year, it could be 10 years. It could be 3 lifetimes. We don't know. And then there's even a final piece, which says, knock and the door shall be opened to you. And I believe that people forget to go, well, why would that piece need to be included? He already said, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Okay, I get it. I got to get off my butt and get out there. But what's up with the doors? Well, if you're going to reach a door that requires knocking, what does that imply? That implies you will reach a door that is closed and that you cannot open it by yourself. So you must knock. And the door shall be opened to you. It doesn't say knock until you burn the door down or bust the door down. It says knock and the door shall be opened to you. Jesus was not a frivolous teacher. There was so much wisdom taught in that. He's saying, humans, people, we ask first. We have an intention, we ask for it. But then we must get off our thrones and we must seek. And then we should expect that we will hit doors that are closed and are locked. And we can simply knock and they might be open. Well, he says they will be opened. But the beginning of the teaching, he talks about an odd situation where I go to my neighbor's house at midnight and I knock on the door going, I had guests unexpectedly arrive and I have no food for them. Can you give me some food? And initially, the response is, no, we've all gone to bed, leave us alone. So he talks about persistence. He says that even though the individual may not give you just because you are their friend, if you persist, they will. And maybe they say, well, look, just go to bed. Here's some food, now get out of my face. Right? Okay, that's not the best intention, but at least the end result is achieved. And there's a big difference between persistence and being obnoxious and demanding. It's always very cool to take a word like, for example, persistence, and break it down into its Latin root. Sistere is the verb in Latin. It's the same verb for solstice. It's the same root, which means to stand still. So at the moment of the solstice, there is this perception that the sun is standing still at the farthest end of the northern or southern hemispheres. We know that there is nothing standing still. And in fact, the sun is not the thing that is moving. I mean, the sun might be moving in other ways, but it has to do with the tilt of the earth, and it's a perception. But sistere is a verb that means to stand still. So if you think of persistence, it's I'm going to stand here, I'm going to stand still until that which I seek has been granted to me. And I think that's really cool. And that's very different than thinking I'm just going to pray and things are going to mysteriously happen for me. This is an internal attitude of I'm going to stand firm in that which I truly desire. And I believe that at some point I will seek and I will find. And yes, I will hit doors that are locked, and I will knock on those doors. I will not pound on them obnoxiously. I will not demand as though I'm entitled to have the door open. But I will knock graciously, believing that Jesus' prayer is true, that the door will be open for me. So in our practical approach to the realization of self and truth, I would like you to discard some of the phrases that are thrown around spiritually, that they provide a temporary sense of upliftment. Now, I'm not really opposed to that, but I want the deeper understanding to be part of your reality. You'll know, I know that some of you are teachers and parents, medical professionals, and you understand, various sports or various activities based on the things that you have immersed yourselves in over the years. And you are beginning to, if you haven't already been, meditating every day. Now, when you meditate every day, you really start to know the ups and downs of your meditation practice. So you can speak about things in an experiential way, that if somebody else has a meditation practice that they've been doing it every day, you can say certain things and they get it right away because they have the experience. If you hang out with a bunch of nuclear physicists, they don't have to spend a lot of time defining every term. They can just speak very freely about the terms because they've studied it, they live it, they understand it. But if I'm sitting there in the room, it's very unlikely I'll be able to understand anything, except, the very rudimentary concepts. So I should not expect myself to be able to contribute too much of value to that conversation. I should humbly sit there and just soak it in and go, wow, this is really at a whole other level. So this kind of teaching and this approach to life, the more that you immerse yourself in this path that we're doing, you will see the degree to which this is true and how it actually plays out in real life. When you begin to recognize, am I seeking? Have I given up? Have I determined that the seeking is finished now? It's like, well, okay, so where is the thing that I have prayed for? We try to train ourselves not to decide when the seeking is finished, because if I have not actualized the thing that I desire, then I guess the seeking is not finished. And if I have knocked on a certain door and nobody has answered at that door, do I continue at that door or do I move on to another door? Well, these are things that we can't explain except through your experience. What's an example? I mean, I like to use examples about career and relationships because we can all relate. It's just a common ground, right? If I ask somebody out on a date and they say no, and I go, well, you know, sometimes people say no, but they say that it really means I don't know. So then I ask them out again. And then I send them a text, and then I send an email, and nothing's coming back. No, that's not a door I'm going to keep knocking on. I'm not going to go, well, Jesus said knock and the door should be open to me. I mean, my wisdom and experience goes, this person is not interested. My prayer may be, I would like to date somebody who would like to date me. Okay, that's a prayer that God goes, there's a lot of room in that. If the prayer is, I must date this person, God's going to go, I can't interfere with people's free will. I can't impose that this person wants to date you. But you said that in God all things are possible. And this is where we have to go, okay, the mind is getting a little bit weird. That is a Pharisaical expression. That's coming to the Lord, coming to Jesus and going, okay, well, let's just break it down here. You said this, but now you're saying this. See, that's an accusatory tone that goes nowhere. Instead, we humbly go, maybe I don't quite understand this as fully as I can. So there are doors that we will knock on that will not be opened. If our prayer is spacious enough, and God goes, you are not violating free will, you are not imposing yourself upon somebody, you have a desire for a relationship, a career, a change in your attitude, or whatever. In our case, I would just like a prayer to be, I pray that I may grow spiritually, that I may see that which is unseen in myself and in others, and I may choose love in how I then interpret and integrate that information. And then I become a beacon of love and light upon this earth. And if I'm able to help 3 people or 30 people or 300 people or 3,000 people because I murmur the right words, or I show up when other people leave, or I stay a little bit longer, or I write a book that really manifests or really affects people, or I end up on TV and thousands of people receive my message, whatever it is. I'm not going to be consumed with how much or how many people, but that's my prayer. I want to evolve into my true self as a soul, a lighted being, and then I want to be a light on the earth, as Jesus calls us to do. So we must persist, and as a result of your persistence and standing firm in that decision, and committing to the seeking, and committing to the knocking, and developing the wisdom to know, okay, I've sought this particular channel for a while, that's yielded as much as it can, I'm going to move now to this channel. And I've knocked on this door for so long, and my gut feeling, my intuition, my meditation is revealing that that door is not going to open, that person is not going to relent or whatever, that person is not going to apologize, that person is not going to open, so they may go down a path that's destructive. Okay, I'm not going to violate somebody's free will. And this is really why you need a relationship with the Christ, because you will hit points where you go, should I keep knocking on this door or should I not? And all our faculties of reasoning and all our heart may go, I actually don't know. I can't tell. And that's where the Christ in us will say, let that one go and move on. And you can be very relaxed to go, I have followed the way and I'm going to move on from that. Or maybe the guidance is, no, keep going. So as you begin to examine yourself unfolding upon this path, just remember the teaching and remember that it's on you to persist. You may have to ask people things that make them go, no. And then you go, I'm going to stand here politely and I'm going to persist because I need this. And you'll begin to discern if that person is going to open the door for you. And if not that door, another door will open. I know that because I've been on this journey for a while. And it always works out. But there are times where we go, what? How much longer do I have to stand here? It's hard sometimes to resist thinking that way because our version of time is, quite different than God's version of time.